finally, Trump was confronted to his face in person about his debt rhetoric nonsense. Meaning, Trump again is telling us in his campaign, and Republicans are again asserting that it is they who are fiscally responsible. It is they who will reduce deficits. And Trump even goes as far as to say we won't just slow or stop our adding to the debt by minimizing deficits. We'll start paying down the debt, reducing the actual sum the total. And he is saying this after he was president and did the exact opposite and added more to the debt than anyone who has ever been president in the history of this country. And I know what you're thinking, MAGA. That's because of COVID. You can't blame Bubby Boy for COVID. But the person who confronted him had the facts on how that talking point does not stand. This is Reason Magazine's Nick Gillespie. And Nick did an excellent job. I know nothing about him. This is not an endorsement of him. But this was really, really good.
Debt held by the public tops $27 trillion. It's bigger than the entire American economy, and it's on track to grow faster and faster. So when Trump made an appearance this week at PubKey, a Bitcoin-themed bar in New York's Greenwich Village, I went down to ask him about it. Donald, Nick Gillespie with Reason Magazine, you signed legislation adding $7.8 trillion to the deficit in your first 4 years. Why will it be different if you're reelected?
Well, we had a thing called COVID, and we had to do things.
But you added it before COVID.
And we were getting the country all set with our liquid gold and all the other assets that we have. We were going to bring that way down.
That's a snappy comeback, except that less than half of Donald's new debt was related to pandemic spending. And the COVID relief bill establishing the Paycheck Protection Program, which Trump signed in 2020, was so rife with corruption and waste that one federal prosecutor has called it the biggest fraud in a generation. And get this, his new campaign proposals would add another $5.8 trillion to the debt. How are you going to bring it down if you're cutting taxes?
Thank you.
Trump has called himself the king of debt.
We'll be right back to the video just really quickly. If you're not already, I would appreciate you clicking that subscribe button. We are really close to 1 million subscribers. You can help us get there. Easy, free way. And then we do have merch at lukebeasleymerch.com with Harris as a promo code. You can get free shipping. Super cool election-themed merch. Check it out. Back to the video.
If he gets a second term, he just might become its emperor.
Well said. So let's fact check what Mr. Nick Gillespie said. We've looked at this many times. Axios reports Trump ran up national debt twice as much as Biden, according to this analysis. And MAGA will often say, oh, but that's because of COVID. But as Nick pointed out, let's exclude then for both Biden and for Trump any COVID relief. And that's what you're looking at on your screen. Only non-COVID relief related legislation. And you can see Trump still doubles that of Biden. And actually, Trump's non-COVID relief is larger in its running up of the debt than all of Biden's COVID or non-COVID. So Biden's entire record, just Trump's non-COVID relief. Still larger. So, this whole Biden's been worse on the debt, not true. Not true. Even if you exclude COVID, because that is a perfectly fair argument about the COVID era. We're going to add a lot to the debt when we're trying to get out of a crisis and there's an economic collapse. Fair. But Trump, when things were good, when he was handed a solid economy by Obama, did that. And what was one of the things that caused this? A tax cut bill that he also said was going to stimulate so much growth that it would actually end up bringing in more revenue than the loss in tax revenue. And he was wrong about that. But it was a tax cut bill that 80+% of the benefits ended up going to the top of the economic ladder. Huge corporations, wealthiest individuals. And that's his priority. Sometimes deficit spending is necessary. It's definitely not necessary when it's just exacerbating income inequality. Really, we're gonna go more into debt so that we can push more wealth to the very top? That doesn't make any sense. None. And then we zoom out because, okay, Biden has a better record on that than Trump. Clear. No argument against that. What about just generally presidents from either party? Because you hear Democrats run up the deficits. They're so bad when it comes to the debt. And Republicans have to come in and fix all of their irresponsible spending. Also not true. We've talked about this really interesting op-ed here from David Leinart, and it's titled, "Why Are Republican Presidents So Bad for the Economy?" And we don't have time to go through all of the different points that are made in this really effectively laid out piece where it goes through something I've mentioned billions of times now, by every single metric, all of them that we use to judge the economy. Democrats are far better for the economy, even if you control for all sorts of different variables, as this article notes. Even if you say, well, what about who is in power? What about if you change the years that you're judging, take out recessions that weren't the fault of a Republican? Still, it's this crazy pattern over the last century. And in addressing some of the counter arguments, he writes this: "It's not the case that Democrats juice the economy by spending money and then leave Republicans to clean up the mess. Over the last 4 decades, in fact, Republican presidents have run up larger deficits than Democrats." And somehow, Trump still gets away with saying this.
Can you believe what they're doing? But by doing that, we will lead a large-scale decline in prices. Prices will start to come down. Energy raised it. They took our energy policies and destroyed them. Then they immediately went back to them, but by that time, so much was lost. But we will do it at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And we'll end lots of different things. We'll start paying off debt and start lowering taxes even further.
Okay. We'll start paying off debt by doing the exact thing you did last time that caused the debt to increase by such massive margins. So then the question is, why? Why do so many Americans believe Republicans are better for the economy? So many Americans believe, as a part of that, the Republicans are more fiscally responsible. Okay, maybe Democrats come in and make the economic things look good, but that's just because they're irrationally throwing money around, and then Republicans have to be the adult. Opposite record-wise on the second piece. And still, poll after poll, including Trump versus Harris, says that the majority of Americans, even many Democrats, think Democrats are worse for the economy. And it shows you the power of repetition and branding. Bumper sticker politics is what Republicans got really good at. The reason why we hear Trump on a loop say stuff, they're coming from jails, they're coming from insane asylums, they're coming from jails and mental institutions. And mental institutions, if you think about it, it's kind of like an insane asylum, but less severe. The reason with that, or saying they destroyed energy production, crime's going up, all these things, you hear it so often, is because Trump believes, as he told Stephanie Grisham in the White House, it doesn't matter what you say, if you repeat it enough, people will believe it. And so, because Trump says so many times, I built the greatest economy in the world, 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 I handed a perfect economy to Biden Harris and they destroyed it. Something that is so irrational in so many ways. One of them being he handed a country in shambles, including economically, to Biden Harris because of his mismanaging of the pandemic. The other being that if you're going to really simplify macroeconomics into just one person either built or broke it, then you would say Obama mostly built the economy Trump takes credit for, based on the growth and the change in the metrics that we're referring to. And then you can credit Trump with growth sort of slowing a little bit, but him not messing up everything until he did. Okay, cool. Woohoo. But still, people believe he built the greatest economy. Even a lot of independents and Democrats. Even people who find him disgusting go, oh, but man, he built a good economy. No, he inherited one and then messed up when it was his time to lead whenever a crisis hit. And because we can't understand history through the lens of two presidents, the last century says over and over and over again the exact opposite of what the majority of Americans believe on the economy. So stunning in its presence that economists have long struggled to exactly pinpoint, why would this be? What the heck? No matter how we look at it, no matter how we twist and poke and flick the metrics, the pattern remains. So please, Democrats, scream it more. I think it does come down to a fear of coming off insensitive to what hasn't been addressed, right? If Biden says, I did it, me, as Trump would say, me, greatest president ever, took the economy from the ground at 0 to 100, baby, and I made a better economy than any country in the entire world after the pandemic. You would have Democrats going, oh, he doesn't care. My point is, obviously Republicans, but they're always going to say that. Democrats even would be going, oh, he's so insensitive. He doesn't understand that people are still dealing with blah, 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 blah. But Trump can constantly do it. You think there weren't problems? Hey, media. Every time Trump says that, can you ask him, are you not being insensitive? As Fox News asks about Biden anytime Biden touts any success, are you not being insensitive when you completely omit from your record the hundreds of thousands of people who died who didn't have to because of your mismanaging? Are you being insensitive to them? Yes. You know what studies you can't find? That Biden is single-handedly responsible for inflation we saw in the entire world. You know what studies you can find? Trump mismanaged the pandemic so badly that hundreds of thousands of people died who didn't have to. But it's Trump who can always say, I did everything perfect and I'm awesome, and people barely think for a second that that's off. And Biden gets criticized if he accurately points to, or if Harris accurately points to, the fact they really did do an incredible job when it comes to the recovery. The economic recovery, that's about as well as we're going to hope for from such a crisis. No, but that means you're saying that there's not more to be done. Oh, of course there is. That means you're saying people's pain. No, of course. The reason we care so much about getting these facts out is so that people are informed enough to make the right decision, so that we can minimize the pain, so that we can benefit people's lives through policies that work. And so understanding the policies that have worked so far will help us implement more policies that will work and benefit people's lives and help people and reduce pain going forward. Trump being able to brand his way into the White House again, mislead, distort his way into the White House again, is exactly how we make people's lives worse. Wow. I didn't know a conversation about the debt was going to lead to that. Okay. Let me know what you thought of that. Goodness. And you can support the show by clicking the join button below.